Hey, what's going on, everybody? Brian here with Blackburn in Tech. Be sure to click that like, subscribe button. It helps YouTube know that we are here and actually creating content you want. And it's free, so why not? Okay, so we've created a admin account, right? And we've created another user and we've had some fun in there. But let's take a look at some of these base settings and see what can we do. Like, as Bob's account that we created in one of our previous ones, Bob's password is very simple. We don't like that. We don't want Bob to be able to create just a password called password. So let's go ahead and jump into the firewall and see what we can do about it. Okay, so over here on the firewall, let's go ahead and log in. I'm going to log in as our admin account, because even our admin account needs to be logged in. Okay, coming over here to System. And then let's just go ahead and click on Settings. So from here, we can see our host name. I've switched mine to Lab for Fun because that's what this one is. Then our time zone. If you're doing like any LDAP or anything that requires certificates, it's very important to have the correct time. So I'm going to check. We're in Eastern time here for my recording area. So time zone, it's currently getting set by NTP, and it's on the FortiGate servers. If you want to change that, that's like one that's in the CLI, at least on this version. And then sync interval, so every 60 seconds, so every minute. Every 6. So coming down a little bit more, we'll see our administrative ports that we're using. So port 80 is HTTP. So if we had HTTP turned on, it would be coming in on port 80, where this redirects to 443. So maybe we have a web server, maybe we only have one IP address, but we want to host something on 443. We can change our administrative port to whatever we want, so as long as it doesn't conflict with something. So if I could do that, it'll require you to log in again. So we could set it, and that's no big deal. I'm not going to change mine currently because we don't have a reason to. If, like I said, if we was hosting like a HTTPS web server or something, yeah, we might need to use that and change it. And this is just specifying port 22 for SSH, Telnet, and then the idle timeout on about how long does it take for your administrative session to time out. There's a few areas you can tweak this. This is overall for the system. Coming down, Wi-Fi settings. We are in the United States currently, but if you're not in the United States, you would want to make sure your Wi-Fi settings is to your particular area, because certain areas allow certain frequencies to be used where others do not. As where I was pointing to earlier, maybe our password scope. We don't currently have one turned on, but maybe I want it for my administrators or my IPsec connections. Maybe I have VPN users. I don't want them to just set a password as password. Maybe it's just for my administrators. Maybe I do want to turn something on like this. I can allow character requirements. As you can see, you can make this very complicated if you want. You can get very granular on here and set it to your heart's content, or you can, like I said, you can set it for both. You can have this apply to everybody or just your administrators. I'm currently not going to turn it on because this is a lab firewall. If this was a production, I would recommend to have a good strong setting on there. View, what kind of theme do you have? They have a few different themes, which is kind of nice. I currently just have it set on their default one, which is fine. FortiGate time zone. This is basically on how do you want the firewall to act as a profile, like each profile, or is it a policy-based operation? This is where you would change this at. If you wanted it to be policy, maybe you're applying to a large group of stuff, that would be easier. For everything's within this section is part of this. Most of the time it's set to profile. And central NAT, we're going to get to that conversation later, but here is where you would enable and disable that. Startup settings, so if you needed to create a USB installation media, how does it know what the file is, kind of thing, because you've specified it here. And if you have your own email server, you can go ahead and use your own email server here if you want. And this would allow, so the firewall can send out messages on your behalf. Maybe you're you have it set up that anytime an admin logs on, you want it to send you an email or anything quirky like that, you can do that. And then debug logs at the bottom is right here. You can download these. These are not really typically useful for just the average person. Let me go ahead and pop that back over to me. So they're not really typically useful because it is so much content that's there. Let me see if I can open this up. Okay, it's on the wrong screen. So this is just like this one right now. As you can see, there's just so much settings and so much stuff in here. This would be more for like if you have a technical support case with Fortinet technical support, you might want to be able to get that and pull that if they request that. It's definitely a report that they can use, and especially because they deal with it all the time. Occasionally, if you want to, just pull it and take a look at it and just see what it says, kind of thing. It can't hurt to look at it. That's one thing that it might get a little confusing, but it can't hurt to look at it. Okay, so this is just the overall base settings. But if we're just going to run down this menu. So we've already seen the administrators and the admin profiles. If you watch that video, firmware's for updating firmware settings. This HA is for high availability. So if you have a high availability unit, here's where those settings would be. SNMP, so if you're running any management protocols, that's where that would be. Your replacement messages would be for if you had something that's blocked, for example. So let's just look at it. Virus block message, that sounds fun. So if we can edit this, can we preview it? Oops. Well, this one's not very exciting, but that's the block message, it looks like. Dangerous attachment has been removed, yeah. So that one's not as exciting as some of them to look at. So maybe you're wondering what your VPN login page looks like. So, or your login page looks like, kind of thing. Or you can come through here, and if you have someone that specializes in your HTML headings, you can definitely have that changed to match. FortiGuard is where you'll actually apply your FortiGuard licensing. This firewall doesn't have any licensing, so that's why there's this thing here complaining about it, because this firewall is just for a demonstration firewall. It's not currently turned on for any licensing. You can still set it up. You just can't do any the actual security inspections with that. But that's where you would go for any FortiGuard settings if you're having issues with licensing. Feature visibility. So your firewall, as you can see, can do so much stuff, but a lot of it's turned off to not make it as confusing for you. So advanced routing, so maybe you are doing OSPF, BGP, maybe you have use cases for this IPv6. If I'm not using it as a switch controller, if I don't want to see those settings, I can just turn it off. And when I hit save down here, it won't show that up as one of those options. As you can see, what other options are here: zero trust networks. Maybe you're doing a web application firewall with it. And then over here is more additional features, like certificates, unnamed policies, as you can see, denial of services, load balancing if you're trying to do some of that, multiple, and allowing multiple interface packets. Here's where you would turn some of these ones on. As you can see, there's quite a few different settings that they have in there, and then you just come in here and click apply, and then those will change it here. Now, one area that I've gotten asked a few times is, so if I don't have it on here, does that mean I can't set it up in the CLI? No. The CLI has like the full access. It has whatever access your account has access to, as we showed on like the account settings. But even if it's disabled here, you can still set up OSPF. You just have to do it in the CLI if it's not set up on the GUI. This is only for the GUI for it to see it. All right, and so that's a good walkthrough of just this tab from a high-level standpoint. One of the areas that you'll see that a lot of people ask about is right down here, is these settings, because this does kind of get a little confusing as far as your updates. So how often do you want scheduled updates? I just want it done automatically. improve IPS quality. So if you notice you're having some quality issues, you can adjust some of these. You can override some of you can override some of them, as you can see. Filtering, maybe do I want to have a cache some of this information? Maybe I have a restriction where I have to be in the US only for my my connections. So then that's when I would set this as US only. You'll typically notice you might have a little more latency, especially if those servers are busier. But other than that, it's just that simple. So I hope this has been informative for you. I know it's more just like a high-level overview currently, and we'll get into some more of the nitty-gritties on how to configure all the other stuff here in just a little bit. But one of the most beneficial parts of configuring a firewall is knowing how to configure some of the basic settings before you get into the advanced settings. Well, like I said, I hope this has been informative. Go ahead and click that like, subscribe. That definitely helps me and the channel out, and it helps YouTube make this content more accessible to other people that might find it as interesting. Thank you. Have a good day.